Majority of French people believe the infamous Dominique Strauss-Kahn that he'd be doing a better job as president than the man in charge right now, François Hollande.
That's right. So when the French say we don't care about private life, they just can't find enough opportunities to prove it.
Remind us who Dominique Strauss-Kahn is, in case we've forgotten.
Former head of the International Monetary Fund, former finance minister at one point, and there was that notorious case in New York where he was, accused essentially of sexual assault, and that put an end to his stint at the IMF. It also put an end to his hopes of being French president.
Rape, I think, was the charge that was put against him, wasn't it? And then that was eventually thrown out of court. But that was the allegation, wasn't it?
At the time, he was the favourite to get the nod for the Socialist Party as their candidate for the 2012 presidential election. Didn't happen. In any case, Le Parisien ordered a poll. They decided not to publish it, Mark. I think were a little bit nervous about the results. And essentially, 56% of those polled thought that Dominique Strauss-Kahn would be doing a better job at the Élysée Palace than François Hollande. Now, that compares to, for example, Nicolas Sarkozy, 49%. So just about half, less than half.
Can I take you back a bit? Le Parisien commissioned the poll, but didn't publish it, and they had a great story, but decided not to go with it.
That's the most shocking element, really. Senior editors thought that this was too political, and it wasn't worthy of enough interest. I think the fact that a radio journalist picked up on it and brought it out on France Info radio news station today, and the fact that it's been picked up by news websites proves that it is worthy of interest and people are interested in that sort of information.
I think it's it's an extremely interesting piece. So you've got more controversy for us. Tell us what this is.
All right, this is in upcoming local elections coming up very soon here in France. Now, one of the candidates for the far-right National Front Party, photographed here, Paul-Marie Coutot. Now, he's an advisor, sometimes advisor to Marine Le Pen, local election candidate. He decided that it would be a very good idea to suggest on his blog concentrating or gathering together the Roma in camps. And he said that seeing them around the streets of the Swiss 6th arrondissement, which he is hoping to represent, is a sight for sore eyes, and he compared them to lepers spreading disease while they sleep on their mattresses in the streets. I mean, the language he used is actually quite extraordinary for a 21st century politician in Western Europe. He said, often when I come across them, I photograph them so I can put them up on my blog. So he thinks, gather them together in camps. Quite a World War II era solution, one would think.
Indeed, rounding people up who are different and treating them like animals. It's not a very nice thing to say. What have you got next, James?
All right, well, we'll move now to Algeria, where President Bouteflika spoke yesterday, announcing this was the first time he was broadcast speaking on Algerian television since his health difficulties last year. He spent 3 months in a Paris hospital. In any case, let's take a listen to that clip where he announced he will run for a 4th term.
شرفني أن جينا السلام عليك هنايا في نفس الوقت نطرح الملف الترشيح رسميا حسب المادة 74 الدستور و 32 خلينا العضوي الانتخابات.
Doesn't really look in the best of health.
Poor fella doesn't look on good form, does he?
No, he doesn't. Now, a lot of media in Algeria have been saying that ENTV, the channel that broadcasts that, may well have edited those images. If you take a close look at them, as some internet users have, the lighting isn't consistent throughout, so it looks like it was edited together. The sound and the lips don't all match all the time. Let's roll these next pictures, Mark, because this wouldn't be the first time. If you go back to December, when Jean-Marc Ayrault, the French president, was visiting Algiers, let's roll these images. What you can see here is he's moving his hands, right? And Le Petit Journal for Canal Plus figured out at the time that what they did was they just kept replaying one sequence where he was moving his hands from various different camera angles to make it look like he was in better shape than he in fact was. He's had a serious health. He had a stroke in April of last year. He spent 3 months in Val-de-Grâce military hospital in the Paris area, and he's not in great shape, but I suppose a lot of interests riding on his continued health, or at least fictional state of health. Now, another series of images to show you, Mark. These go back to July of last year. Let's roll this next sequence of pictures, because what happened here was a private television channel, not even state TV, in Algeria, pictured him coming back from Paris, where he'd been treated, on an Algerian state plane. He was actually flown in on a French plane, and briskly walking down the steps in very sprightly form, and shaking hands with people. Now, the thing is, he was actually brought onto a French plane in a wheelchair, and then he's skipping off the plane on the other end. Suffice it to say that they were not the real images, and that Algerian television was basically playing the public
creating an image for political gain or public manipulation, it seems.
That's right.
James Creedon, we need to leave it there.
All
Thank
right.
you very much indeed.
Thanks,
I'm still
Mark.
shocked by that Parisian decision not to publish that poll.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for bringing it to us. James Creedon with Media Watch. We take a short break. After that, more news. Stay with us.